Good evening, everybody. Welcome to episode 5 of Outlandish. Tonight, by myself. A bit about me, if you forgot or if you don't know. My name is Zachary Rogers, graduate of the Morgan State University, and then I also graduated in Notre Dame of Maryland. Currently, I am a professor and I'm a sports writer. You can find me at Swish Appeal under SB Nation, and you can find me at Soaring Down South, and I'm also the editor at Pro Sports Notes, where I edit a variety of the Flyers, Eagles, Sixers, and Phillies. So today I'm by myself, don't have Dondre today, but let's get started. So last episode, it's been a bit. Last episode we talked about the Big Baller brand, we talked about hardship waivers, we talked about college basketball, Sabrina Ionescu and her triple dubs that unfortunately didn't get aired on ESPN because they don't air women equally, which is something that they need to fix. So some quick updates. Monty Williams is expected to be the head coach of the Phoenix Suns. It was reported by, I want to say, The Athletic, Sham Shanaria. It's supposed to be reportedly it's supposed to be a 5-year deal. That's really good considering all the things that Monty Williams went through, losing his wife years ago in a horrific car crash. He took some time away and then he came back as an assistant coach. So I'm just happy for him. Thoughts and prayers go out to him and his family. I know this is an exciting time. Also in that same vein, Ty Lue is expected to reunite with LeBron in LA. Things are not final yet, but the talks are heating up, according to multiple sources at Yahoo and ESPN and NBA. And then Jim Boylan agrees to an extension with the Chicago Bulls, and that was reported by Adrian Wojnarowski. So let's get started. So, as you know, it's the NBA playoffs. We're in round 2. So a bit about our show, or the show. We have one main segment of just kind of open discussion, debate. However, I'm by myself today, so I'm just going to do it, just me. And then our second section is going to be Quick Strike, where we're answering questions with a yes or no quick explanation. And then our final set would be yay or nay, where you say yes or no. And you give where you say yes or no, and then it's over with not much of kind of a conversation at that point. So let's get started. Topic 1. We're going to talk about the second round of the playoffs. We're not going to go too far into it. So the first question is going to be which Eastern and Western Conference team should we most be worried about in round 2 of the playoffs? If I'm going to go out west real quick. I'm going to have to say the team that scares me the most, or that I'm most worried about in the West, would be the Houston Rockets. For the simple fact that GM Daryl Morey has been hell-bent on drawing it even or drawing closer to the Golden State Warriors. I'm not going to lie, I thought that the Rockets were kind of out of the discussion after losing Luc Mbah a Moute and Trevor Ariza during the offseason. However, the team looks pretty good. James Harden is balling, but I love James Harden's game, but my knock on him has been, I don't care what you do during the regular season, I have to see what you do in the playoffs. He's had solid numbers, but a lot of his numbers come from after being fouled or, on the charity stripe. And by any means, you get your points how you live it. But he's had a rough first Game 1 and Game 2. Game 1, he didn't really have a solid shooting percentage. Game 2, understood, he got poked in the eye by Draymond Green and he came back out. He toughed it out, so I give you much respect. But the team is struggling, and James Harden has to work with what he has, but at some point as a player, you still have to make your teammates better, and he does do that, but it hasn't transferred to the postseason for the most part. The team is shooting 42.5% from 3, which is very solid, but the team is getting killed by turnovers. And they don't seem like they have a sense of urgency, and you can't do that with Golden State because obviously Golden State, Draymond Green is going to look to push the ball, or Kevin Durant, or Steph Curry, sometimes Klay Thompson, maybe even Andre Iguodala. So the Rockets are kind of in this place with a lack of complacency, but then James Harden going down, the team kind of had to figure it out. Austin Rivers did a good job. Chris Paul did a good job. And poor PJ Tucker, he's doing great on defense. He's rebounding. They're asking a lot of him. He has to guard Kevin Durant, and then you're still expecting him to drop more than 10 points a game, which is a tough ask. But I would say that I'm worried about the Houston Rockets. Their bench is non-existent. I didn't even realize I'm a huge Iman Shumpert fan. Watched him since he's been in Georgia Tech, but I didn't even know he was on the roster. I remember him being traded, but I forgot that he was on the roster. Kenneth Faried, he's not really having the greatest series, obviously because his role is limited. It's going to be a tough series for the Rockets. I'm really worried about them because this is the one series that they were looking for. It didn't matter what they did in the postseason. This was the series that they were looking for, and I don't think they're handling it to the best of their ability. Granted, things happen. You can't control the fact that James Harden got hit in the eye. But you built that roster around James Harden, and it's kind of like you reap what you sow in that instance. Do I think they can win a game or 2 games? Yes. I don't know if I see Game 7 anymore. I believe that they needed to win at least 1 game. Now you're in Oracle. Now you're asking them to win 4 straight, and I just don't see it. Because last year they split, and then they split at each other's houses. Now you're asking Houston, who isn't the greatest on defense. They can lock in when they want to, but you're asking them to win 4 straight. And one at Houston, the Toyota Center is not even a guarantee. So for the West, it's going to be the Houston Rockets that I'm most worried about. For the Eastern Conference, I'm going to say Toronto. Toronto, obviously, they came out very hot. They torched the Sixers in Game 1, but then the Sixers have, no pun intended, they said, here we come, or here they come. Jimmy Butler starting to wake up. Joel Embiid, he is probably the best at playing through injury. Granted, he still needs to work on his conditioning. Ben Simmons recovered from the awful Game 1. JJ Redick has recovered from the horrible Game 1, okay Game 2. I'm worried about Toronto because Kawhi Leonard is dropping plus 20 almost every game. But Kyle Lowry didn't step up in Game 2. He only had 7 points off of 2 of 10 shooting. They shipped DeMar DeRozan out after last season, and granted, I don't think they worked together because neither Kyle Lowry is a better three-point shooter, but DeMar DeRozan is not a good three-point shooter. So you can make that argument that the backcourt was cluttered. But now you have Kawhi Leonard, who's a way better three-point shooter. He's not choking. He's not shying away from the moment. He's a champion. He's already won. I think that's hurting them. And then Marc Gasol, 2 of 6 shooting, 7 points. And then the bench isn't that consistent. We don't know where Serge Ibaka is. This Toronto Raptors team, it's not so much that they can't win the next 3 games straight. It's very doable. But you lost one at home. Drake was there. I'm just saying Meek Mill couldn't go to Toronto. I'm just saying if you believe in superstition, I don't. But for those who are interested in the Drake and the Meek Mill beef, Meek didn't even get to go to Toronto when y'all lost in Toronto. That's not good. The bench has to step up. It doesn't. Van Fleet doesn't look himself. Toronto needs to step up if they're gonna win. But I'm concerned because you went all in for Kawhi Leonard, and who's to say if you would have kept DeMar DeRozan, you probably could have been in the Eastern Conference Finals. The only person that beat you guys years consecutively was the LeBron James, who is now at home on the West Coast after the trade or after signing with the Lakers, in the offseason. So it was necessary for them to blow the roster up. I don't blame them, but all eyes are going to be on the GM if they don't win. And then you fired Dwayne Casey, who's in Detroit, which I'm very grateful for as a Detroit fan. We made the playoffs. Yes, we got swept, but we got one step at a time. We have to get rid of Reggie Jackson and then so on. But neither here nor there. I'm worried about Toronto. Toronto's time for you to step up. All right, for our second segment of today. So our next question is going to come. We're going to go to the NFL. Who are the winners or who is the winner and loser of the draft? The draft happened almost a week and some change ago. If we're gonna go down there, I'm gonna say for the winner, I'm gonna say the Arizona Cardinals. Obviously because they drafted Joshua Miles out of the Morgan State University. Shout out to Joshua. But no, in all seriousness though, yes, they drafted Josh Rosen, and it took me some time to kind of grapple with it. But I respect them versus going years down the line, regretting the fact that they drafted him, trying to make it work. You're talking to a Vikings fan, so when I look at the Christian Ponders, the Tavares Jacksons, I can go down the list of how many people we went through. But as a Viking fan and understanding that we're 84 plus $1 million in debt to a quarterback for 3 years, you can draft him and work your way up to a big contract. Do it. But I would say the Cardinals, they did a good job of securing wide receivers, defensive ends. They built their offensive line. Again, they drafted Joshua Miles. They drafted the center Lamont Gilliard out of Georgia. They got Caleb Wilson out of UCLA, a big, strong tight end with good hands, quick feet. They got Keyshawn Johnson out of Fresno State. They got Delonte Thompson out of Alabama, the safety. They got Hakeem Butler out of Iowa State. So they got really quick and they got really fast. I would have liked to see them work on their offensive line a little bit more. But the fact that you got your franchise quarterback, you traded Josh Rosen, so there's no animosity. You have young receivers that can learn under Larry Fitzgerald before he retires. You built the defense, so there was a happy medium and there was a balance. So I'm gonna give them the winner to the draft. I feel like they utilized their picks and they hit offense and defense evenly. You got your franchise quarterback. You got some good wide receivers. You got defense. You got cornerbacks. You got Byron Murphy out of Washington. They got some linky defensive specialists, if you will. Now, obviously, for the losers of the draft, I'm gonna go Giants. I'm gonna go New York Football Giants. I'm a huge Duke fan. I grew up loving Duke. Everybody who knows me knows how annoying I was growing up as a Duke fan. Watched Daniel Jones play over the years. He's a solid quarterback. I wouldn't be surprised if he turned into a starting quarterback. That's not what worries me. He could be a starter somewhere. He could be a good game manager, but he has to have a strong defense. If he would have went to Denver a year and some change ago, maybe still today, I would be okay with that. I mean, obviously they got Joe Flacco, but I would have been okay with a Denver because you have the defense to back it up. Him going to the Giants, who are they're not in a rebuild because when you're in the NFC East, you can kind of win it almost any year. No shade. But Eli's about to retire, and he's going to have to step up sooner than you think. And I don't think that's a good environment, being on the biggest stage. Fans are very angry, and they have a very short fuse. So to see him go to the Giants, I feel like you could have gotten him later in the draft. I don't have a problem with drafting him. I have a problem with you drafting him with the number 6 pick in the whole draft. You should have got Dwayne Haskins. He was sitting right there. As he told you, as he put the league on notice, you messed up, NFL. And you have to see him twice a year. Dwayne Haskins may not start right away because they got Case Keenum out of a trade. Alex Smith is going to be out for the whole season. Colt McCoy, I don't know. He's younger. He may recover, but he probably won't be back until December, January. So Dwayne Haskins possibly could start if Case Keenum either throws the game away. Again, fellow Viking, he led us to the Minnesota Miracle. Shout out to Case Keenum. Respect. We probably should have kept you. I'm not going to lie to you. And Kirk Cousins' deal is a bit excessive. But Kirk gets another year in my book. So Dwayne Haskins could possibly start this year. He could possibly play depending on injury from Case Keenum or him getting benched. Hopefully Case Keenum has a good year though. He may fit the offense that the Redskins are trying to do, and Gruden's trying to run. I feel like the Giants forgot that they drafted Saquon Barkley last year. They didn't really do a good job. When I look at this, they didn't really do a good job of building an offensive line. They took They took George Afasu or Ajaid out of Kentucky. I apologize if I butchered your name. They took him out of Kentucky. He's a strong offensive lineman, but that was the only lineman you took. I mean, yes, you got some good corners. You got DeAndre Baker out of Georgia, solid pick. You got Julian Love out of Notre Dame, Corey Ballantyne out of Washington. I am impressed considering that they traded some of their defense away or they let them walk. The defense is good, but I feel like you needed to be a bit more balanced, and you could have gotten at least one or two more offensive linemen. Again, Saquon Barkley had a monster year, but you don't want him to break down within his 4th or 5th year. I mean, he's going into his 2nd year, but he's a violent runner. He kind of reminds me of Adrian Peterson. He has a little bit more finesse than Adrian did in his first few years, and he's not as hell-bent on making contact, but Saquon Barkley is a north and south runner. I mean, he catches a lot of the passes, but again, you have to have an offensive line to close out. To flat block, I just feel like the Giants didn't do that. Again, it's not necessarily that I wasn't impressed with their draft, but I feel like, yes, the general manager believes that Eli has a few years left, but if Dwayne Haskins is number 6 and you took Daniel Jones, I understand the Peyton and Eli connection. He went to camp with them. His coach at Duke knows the Manning. He was assistant. I get it. I get the lineage, but at the end of the day, Eli's going to retire. Peyton doesn't have his hands too much in the Colts organization or the Broncos. So I didn't understand the network. I understand the principle of networking, but in that instance, you should have went with Dwayne Haskins. Again, you're building for the future. Daniel may turn into a starting quarterback, but he's only going to be a game manager. I feel like you didn't address the hole that you traded Odell Beckham Jr. Darius Slayton out of Auburn, solid receiver. But I feel like you needed another 1-2 punch. You could have got another big receiver. So I'm going to go Giants. You're the losers of the draft. And then the Arizona Cardinals are the winner. Of course, because they drafted Joshua Miles out of the Morgan State University. But yes. So our next topic is going to... All right, for segment 3, we're going to the WNBA. May 10th, which is my brother's birthday. Happy early birthday, Dorian. But no, for our third segment, we're going to go to the WNBA and we're going to talk preseason. Preseason will be kicking off May 10th, next week. And we have some key matchups that fans are going to be excited for. As you know, last season, the Seattle Storm hoisted the trophy after sweeping the Washington Mystics 3-0. And our first preseason game that kicks off will be the Washington Mystics taking on the new look Minnesota Lynx. For those who may not know, Maya Moore will be sitting out the season to focus on her ministry. That's really dope. So God bless her, and I hope her ministry and everything that she's doing is going well. So a few faces that we're going to be excited to see: Nafisa Collier, Sierra Dillard. We're going to get to see both of them suit up in the Minnesota Lynx gear. As far as the Washington Mystics, we're going to be able to see Kiara Leslie, and we're also going to be able to see Sam Fearing with her awesome sleeve. I love her tattoo sleeve though, for real. But no, we're going to be able to see them. We're going to see where if the Washington Mystics can put everything back together and make a consecutive finals run. Christy Tolliver's returned. Monique Curry, she retired unfortunately. Elena Deladon, she's returning. The boss. Who else do we have coming back? Natasha Cloud, Ariel Atkins, and Ariel Powers. They're all returning. So the Washington Mystics, they didn't really lose much. So that's exciting to see if they could put things together. And then unfortunately, Breanna Stewart tore her Achilles overseas. Because the NBA has yet to adjust payments. I'm just saying, break out some max contracts. Let's start to hit the billions, in the millions. They should be paid the same as NBA players. I said what I said. So that'll be an interesting tip off. That game is set to tip off May 10th at 8 p.m. As far as programming and where you can watch it, that's going to be to be announced. However, you can get the WNBA League Pass. But if I'm not mistaken, there are discounts going on if you are a recurring or returning member, so make sure you get that. The next game on the 11th is going to be the Los Angeles Sparks against the Phoenix Mercury. Unfortunately, the Phoenix Mercury are going to be without Diana Taurasi for 10 to 12 weeks. Thankfully, that's not the whole season, so she should be able to come back 10 to 12 weeks. So that's probably a month and a half, maybe 2 months if it's because of a back injury or surgery. So that's going to be interesting to see Brittany Griner handle on her own and Dawana Bonner. The Sparks, their new look, they have the new CP3. I'm going to go ahead and take that from Chris Paul. We're just going to go ahead and give that to Candace Parker. They got Candace Parker. They re-signed Chelsea Gray. Thank goodness. Shanae Agumuke was acquired in a trade, and she gets to play with her older sister. Derek Fisher is now the new head coach. The Sparks looked awesome last season. They just, unfortunately, they didn't find in the playoffs. They got caught with a matchup that wasn't necessarily, they didn't really fit them, or they couldn't match up. I think Los Angeles is going to be in a really good space, especially after drafting Kalia Brown. A lot of people kind of scratched their head, but that's really a solid pickup. If you think about how Candace Parker came in, she came in on the end of Lisa Leslie's career, and she helped Candace Parker develop. It'll be the same thing. Candace Parker is a huge fundamentalist. She's very athletic. She can shoot the ball. She can handle the ball, block, rebound, assist. She provides the sparks with her own showtime. So I think that'll be a good pickup for Kalani Brown. Shout out to her for side-eyeing the President of the United States. But no. So I think that'll be a good game. That game is set to take place May 11th at 10 p.m. Again, League Pass. There's no formal channel at this point. The WNBA did strike a deal with CBS, and there are games that are slated for this season. So shout out to CBS for supporting the brand. Our next matchup is going to come on May 13th. It's going to be the Dallas Wings against the Atlanta Dream. Arike Ogunbowale. Those are the two words that I have to say. I'm excited to see her. I think that the Dallas Wings had the best draft, arguably. In my opinion, I think they had the best draft. You think about it, Liz Cambage requested a trade. She's DJing at Coachella, which is really cool, so shout out to her. But she requested a trade, and she's securing the bag right now. Can't blame her. And she's just enjoying her life, so I can't blame her for that. Skylar Diggins-Smith is expecting a baby, so congratulations to her. So it's possible she's going to miss the whole season. And then the Dallas was able to draft Arike Ogunbowale, Megan Gustafson, and they were able to they recruited. I feel like they got Kennedy Burke and they got Morgan Birch. I think they addressed shooting, backcourt and frontcourt. A lot of people are saying that Megan Gustafson is going to be she's overrated. I don't think so. Yes, she played at Iowa, but that's still high competition in the Big Ten. She's fundamental. She works on her game. She can hit anything from the elbow out. She's a solid facilitator. She crashes the board. She follows her shot. She's a really good motivator. I think people they don't notice how good she is at motivating her teammates and getting her teammates involved. She's very humble and she's very strong. And I think she's always willing to work on her game. So I don't think she's overrated. And I think she's going to be a player that we talk about years down the line. So I'm going to call it right now. She's going to be a force to be reckoned with. And I think she's going to have the best season out of any front court player or player, any front court player that was drafted this season. So I said what I said. So we'll see. We'll have this conversation in September. I think she's going to have a phenomenal rookie season. She's going to make the team, and I think she's going to be in the rotation heavy. She may not be a starter right away, but it's a possibility years down the road considering that Liz may be out. So Dallas and the Dream, they're going to be playing 5 p.m. on May 13th. Check that out. And then on May 13th at 7 p.m., so after the game I just announced, Asia Durr is going to be making her debut. That's going to be really exciting. Tina Charles has not resigned yet, so that's a bit alarming if you're the New York Liberty, especially under new ownership. Get it together. But I think Asia Durr and Tina Charles, if Tina Charles resigns, which I know she will, hopefully she will, I can't say no, hopefully she will, they can be the best tandem in the WNBA years down the line. Tina Charles is 30. Asia Durr is still young. I'm thinking tandems like Brittany Griner, Diana Taurasi, Sue Bird, Brianna Stewart. There's so many. At one point, Lindsay Whalen, Sylvia Fowles, or Maya Moore, Sylvia Fowles, however you want to slice it. I think they can be a huge tandem. Asia Durr is going to come in. She's going to be able to give you three-point shooting. She's going to be able to give you penetration. She's going to be able to drive in the middle, kick the ball out after she draws two. She's going to be able to create her own shot. She's going to be able to help other players spot up. She's going to take double teams away from Tina Charles and vice versa. Tina Charles is going to be able to post up. She's going to be able to kick it back out to Asia Durr. She's going to be able to seal. She's going to be able to do pin curls. They're going to be able to help each other. And they're both just athletic. Tina Charles is very sneaky when it comes to being athletic. She can rebound. She's in shape. She's strong. She has quick footwork, and she's a competitor. Going back to her days at UConn, she could have a bad game, but she would bounce back either within that game or the next game. So that's going to be an exciting matchup. Preseason picks. Unfortunately, with the injury to Breanna Stewart and then Diana Taurasi being out for 10 to 12 weeks, I know that's not the whole season, but that is it's in the WNBA, you have to get off to a quick start. So I'm going to pick the Washington Mystics. Not because I'm from Montgomery County or the DMV, but no, that's partly why. But no, I think they kept most of their roster intact. Mike is going to do a good job with this roster. I think they addressed shooting and drafting Leslie. And I truly believe in drafting Sam Furing. I think that was solid. You don't have to necessarily worry about them complaining about being starters right off the bat. They're going to be able to learn and go on the fly. Christy Tolliver is an amazing leader. As a Duke fan, when she hit that dagger to win the national title years ago, I cried a little bit. But no, in all seriousness though, Christy Tolliver is an amazing leader. And I just think that the Mystics, that was their first time making the finals. I think that was a learning experience. I don't think that they get complacent. I think that they build on that, and they're going to make the WNBA finals, and they're going to win it. Outside of the Storm, who gave them the most trouble, I can see them beating the Atlanta Dream, even with Angel back in the lineup. I think they can do it. The Los Angeles Sparks are dangerous, but Elena, she's in a different league. She can hit you with the 1 foot jumper. She can hit you with the shimmy to the left, shimmy to the right, shoot over the defender. She can drive. She can penetrate. She can float the ball. She can play defense. She can push the ball. She can do everything. You get Ariel Atkins, who had an amazing rookie season, averaging 11 plus points. She's only going to get better. Natasha Cloud, despite her role kind of changing or fluctuating last season, she still held her head high. And she was a true professional, and she's going to have a bigger year, and she gets better in scoring, assisting, and playing defense, and she's the motor that helps the Washington Mystics go. I think they're going to have a great season. I'm going to go Mystics. Yep. So, that's it for that segment. Again, Mystics, and we're going to go to our next segment. All right, for our next section, we're going to go to Quick Strike. So Quick Strike, obviously, I'm here by myself today, but Quick Strike is going to be a quick answer, yes or no, and I'm going to explain why real quick. So for the first Quick Strike, will the Washington Mystics win it all this year? I'm going to say yes. Again, unfortunately, prayers up to Breanna Stewart. We pray that Achilles gets, that it's healing nicely, that you're chilling, and you're not in too much pain, and that you're able to bounce back next season. Without Breanna Stewart, I don't see the Storm being formidable. And to be honest, I think that was the only team that really stood in the way of the Washington Mystics. Obviously, they beat them in the finals, but I could have easily seen or saw the Storm getting back to the WNBA finals this year again. When you have Sue Bird, anything is possible. So I would say Mystics. For the second Quick Strike, do the Rockets tie this up a game? Are the Rockets going to go game 7? I'm going to say no. James Harden has to do too much. I don't want to say James Harden choked because it's not fair. It's only going into game 3 Sunday. But I don't think the Rockets have enough. They rely too much on him. Chris Paul can obviously take over a game if he wants to. PJ Tucker is a spot-up shooter. He's defending Kevin Durant and other people, and that's a lot to ask. The bench has to step up. I just don't see the Rockets overcoming it. I feel like they had to have won a game in Oracle for them to have a chance. Remember, last year they were up 3-2, but Chris Paul pulled his hamstring. For our third Quick Strike, will the Minnesota Vikings advance to the Super Bowl? I'm going to go ahead and say no. I'm a Minnesota Viking fan, but our defense has fallen tremendously. If our defense, yes, we secured Anthony Barr back, but if our defense doesn't step up like it has in not last year, but 2 years prior to that, it's going to be very hard. All right, now we're on to our last segment. Yay or nay? Right, feel the Shakespeare in there, kind of? Okay, no, not really. All right, so for yay or nay, this is going to be a yes or no equation, and then we're going to move on. It's not going to be a long explanation. We're going to keep it moving. The Washington Mystics will win it all this year. Yay! I'm sorry, they have too much sauce this season. Yesterday or the day before, Magic Johnson and Jeannie Buss, or Magic Johnson took a picture of them out dining, talking about Lakers for life and family. Are we buying the fact that everything is okay and there's water under the bridge? Or did Magic Johnson receive the cuss out of his life? I'm going to say I'm not buying it. Yes, they had dinner, but no publicity isn't always good publicity, and I feel like that just is something that he needed to do to cool his conscience. So I'm not buying that. Nay. Diana Taurasi will come back just in time to help the Mercury win another title. I'm going to say... Ooh, that's a tough one. I'm going to say yay. No, I'm going to say nay. I can't say yay because I said the Washington Mystics are going to win. But I think she will come back and they'll have a good season. They're going to make a deep run in the playoffs. I mean, they could make it to the finals. But I'm going to say nay. The Los Angeles Sparks will win a title after acquiring Shanae Ogwumike. See, I want the Mystics to win, but I can. The Sparks are right here. I have the Mystics and then the Sparks. So I'm gonna say nay. No, I'm gonna say yay. I think the finals is going to be Los Angeles versus Washington, but I don't necessarily know who's going to win. So wait, I didn't answer the question. So it's gonna be nay. Washington Mystics win it all. So, thank you for joining us on this week's episode of Outlandish. Next week, we hope to have Dondre back and even some special guests. So, as the WNBA season starts, I want you guys to follow Swish Appeal, SB Nation, Bullets Forever, which writes on the Mystics, and High Post Hoops, who also write on the Mystics, and the WNBA Insider. Let's promote the WNBA. They are a solid brand that deserves equal to or more promotion than the NBA as well. So let's support. The season's coming up. It's going to be crazy. Check us out on our YouTube page, Outlandish Pod. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Zachary, ZACKERYROGERS 13. Thank you guys and have a great weekend.